most of the things. And the
Mhm.
reason why the ability to seek redress and the freedom to assemble and the freedom of speech, where did it all occur? It all occurred most of the time in the town, town green. That's why you'll see, especially up in New England. I mean, you can't drive through a town without seeing a huge town green. And this was something that was significant because that's where they would have their meetings. That's where these people would come. You'd have the town crier, ding, 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 and they'd go and they'd give their weekly announcement in the town green. And if you were, what was the easiest way to keep people from getting information? Restrict their ability to associate with one another. You keep them from associating in that town green, spreading the word and talking to one another to seek redress, then there wouldn't be anything. So that's why this was something that was very near and dear, and why in every account of when they were writing the Declaration of Independence and the amendments to the Constitution, why this was first and foremost, because this is the one that was most important to them.
Exactly. And as Lou said, we didn't have the social media, the newspapers, the television, the radio, all that other stuff at that time. What limited press that they did have was very circumspect. It was very small cadre of people who were doing it, but they were frightened for their own selves. And a lot of times things were published anonymously under pseudonyms for fear that if the government ever found out who was writing it, again, they'd be locked up and thrown in prison. So freedom of the press, again, so unbelievably centrally baked into this cake, which people take it for granted. Think about the last, I don't know, we're recording this toward the end of 2025. In the last 5 years, I'd say 10, but really 5 years, what has been known as the establishment media, whether it was television, whether it was radio, whether it was magazines or whatever, has been significantly deflated with the rise of the I don't know what to call them, like the local journalists, the people, the person on the corner, whoever. They have a phone now. They have you go online, you got everything from left wing, right wings, centrist, whatever, which isn't really, and if you're looking for news, it really ought to be unbiased, whether it's right wing, left wing, centrist, whatever, but you should just be able to relay events. I'll get off my soapbox. But it undercuts the fact that back in the day, people were worried about publishing something for fear of having something being swiped off and thrown into prison. Nowadays, everyone's out being a journalist. The information perhaps is an overload. I said something to Lou earlier today. It's like, there are a couple of different social media facets that it seems like if I wanted to get a drink of water, out of this particular social media news channel, it's more like putting your face in a fire hose because there's so much stuff coming out. But again, it relates to what we are today. On my way home, I was listening to the news, and there were some outlets in Europe where they don't have the First Amendment protections. And these local journalists have been thrown in jail because the police didn't like what they were saying, or they were recording things that were insensitive or problematic for the government. It's even happening now in 2025 in Europe. So
Right.
be thankful for the protection.
Right. And the one thing about the press, I mean, the you don't hear this term very often anymore, but when we were growing up, it was called the Fourth Estate. Well, why was it called the Fourth Estate? Because it was its job, and the press saw its job as overseeing the operations of the other three established estates of the government, the executive, legislative, and judiciary. And so they saw themselves as the fourth estate, that they were there to be the check and balance on power and to let people know what was going on and being able to say, this is what it is. The whole issue, whenever and I have friends who are journalists and take their oath of being a unbiased journalist very seriously. But it's very difficult because everybody has their own opinions. And no matter what you have, there's always going to be that issue of how much do your opinions affect your reporting. What we're seeing nowadays is where a lot of people are saying that if the press is biased one way or the other,